Red Bull might be dominating the 2023 Formula One season to the point that both of their drivers are the only ones who are currently competing for the title, but there is a bit of trouble brewing in their junior team, and that is, of course, AlphaTauri. Now, AlphaTauri came in this year with a new driver lineup that included Nick De Vries, who's technically an F1 rookie despite having had years of experience in motorsport, as well as Yuki Tsunoda. Tsunoda, to his credit, has done well, but it is De Vries' performances that have come under the scanner in recent times, and unfortunately, it does seem like time for him might very well be running out, which would open the door for this man right here, Daniel Ricciardo, to potentially make his F1 comeback a lot sooner than anyone anticipated. But how exactly did the situation get to this, and why is it that Red Bull seem likely to be repeating a mistake they've made many times in the past that, truth be told, hasn't always worked out? That is what we're going to analyze in this particular video. So let's get straight to it. First off, it is worth noting that Daniel Ricciardo has in fact been directly linked with a move to AlphaTauri because he was at their Faenza factory to do a seat fitting. Now, we'll get to why exactly that is the case in just a bit, but that seat fitting does come with rumors emerging from the Dutch as well as Austrian media that Nick De Vries' seat is very much in danger, and that upper management, in this case their director Helmut Marko, has apparently given De Vries 3 races, that is the 3 upcoming races that will be taking place, of course, in Imola, Monaco, and then Spain, to actually save his seat. Now, I know what you might be thinking. A driver swap in the middle of the season might be a bit extreme, but Red Bull have that in their history, and we'll get to those in just a bit. But first, let's look at why exactly it is there's so much credibility to these rumors. Now, it is worth noting that Ricciardo, in his current role, is in fact the reserve driver for Red Bull. But his contract, as is the contract of pretty much any driver who's signed with the team, is structured in such a way that he could very well turn out for both teams. The same is true for Ricciardo. He does in fact act as reserve driver for both Red Bull and AlphaTauri, their sister team, when he is on site. And whilst the seat fitting was actually linked mostly to that, because in case they needed him to step into the car as a reserve driver, they need to ensure that his seating is comfortable. That is why they're actually having that seat fitting. But the simple fact is that the seat fitting came at a time when there were already rumors emerging that De Vries was in trouble. That is what gave it so much more credence. That, and the fact that Red Bull, as I mentioned before, have plenty of previous when it comes to this. The first time it happened was in 2016 when Max Verstappen, their current 2-time world champion, was randomly switched in the middle of the season for Daniel Kvyat in 2016. Now, that was the one time and only time that the decision spectacularly paid off, because Verstappen won his first race with the senior team in the 2016 Spanish Grand Prix. Since then, he's gone on to win 2 world titles and could very well be on his way to a 3rd. But what that did was it gave Red Bull confidence that they could make these quick changes and it would work, because in 2019, the struggling Pierre Gasly was subbed out for Alex Albon, and both of them were swapped because Gasly was in the Red Bull team, Albon was in Toro Rosso. They swapped them again, and Albon did well enough, but so poor was his 2020 that eventually Albon was demoted to becoming Red Bull's reserve driver, not even back to AlphaTauri. He was demoted to being the reserve driver at the end of the 2020 season, with Sergio Perez, who's currently challenging Verstappen for the title, coming into the seat in 2021 and hanging on to it pretty strongly since then. But as I said, in just the space of 5 years, they've done this mid-season driver swap thrice. So it isn't out of the realms of possibility that they might swap in Ricciardo and bring him back in for a struggling De Vries. It would, in many ways, be a very interesting story, because Ricciardo, like all drivers who've come through the Red Bull Academy, did in fact drive for AlphaTauri in its previous guise of Toro Rosso before he was promoted to the Red Bull team, became a race winner, left the team, and then came back, but with a rather battered reputation. It's a romantic story to think that he could very well salvage that reputation with another chance at the team that first gave him his F1 break, that is, of course, Red Bull's sister team, AlphaTauri. However, it does raise a lot of questions about where exactly it is that AlphaTauri is within the importance of the Red Bull setup, because previously this was a team that was used to give budding young drivers a chance to actually hone their craft in Formula One before eventually, hopefully, being promoted to the senior team. But in Nick De Vries and Daniel Ricciardo, neither of them are young drivers. In fact, Ricciardo is probably closer to the end of his career than he is to the beginning of his career at this point, and it seems likely that he'll be heading for the junior team, which is of course Forte's a sister team, but we all know that it is very much a junior team. So what exactly is the use of this junior team then? It has a lot of questions, but if you're a fan of Daniel Ricciardo and you want him maybe to make a comeback, it could very well be that in AlphaTauri, the place where he first got his big break, could rediscover his mojo. Of course, I do think it would be an interesting move, but one that has as many risks as it would rewards if it were to come off. That though, is just how I feel about things. What do you guys think? You can let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel, tap that bell icon, leave us a comment, follow us on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook, and don't forget to download the AajTak app as well. Plus, if you're already on the channel, go ahead, check out some other videos that we've done. For now, from my side, goodbye.